Hey guys, welcome back to another video covering Formula Fan Championship. If you are watching this and you'll see the title of the video says Brazil, but on screen you see we see Imola's results, and you ask yourself, psychotical, where is the Imola video? Well, I went to go make the Imola video, and I realized that I forgot to download my VOD from my Twitch. So unfortunately, that entire race weekend is just lost to memory. And unfortunately, I mean, you guys didn't miss very much, as you'll see, but I really did want to kind of recap it, even though it was kind of a poor weekend for me, because I feel like, this channel shouldn't just be like an ego trip for me. It should be, something where I'm showing the highs and the lows, showing things that I can improve on. You guys get to see me develop and stuff like that. But anyway, I'll do a quick recap. In qualifying, Jeffy ended up going very, very fast compared to us. He snagged pole position by almost 5/10. Imola is one of his best tracks, so not surprised at all. In the sprint race, we finished 1-2 with him, crucially ahead of Ollie in P3. And so we do end up getting a big swing in the Constructors Championship because Ollie's teammate was not here this weekend. So we definitely want to maximize the result as much as possible. The sprint race ended up being dry, and qualifying for the main race was dry, but the main race was heavy rain the entire race. So going into regular qualifying, I managed to take pole position on the much higher downforce setup, not by much. I believe Jeffy messed up his last lap, otherwise he would have certainly taken a pole. If we go back over here, his time was a 13.9, and then over here he managed to do a 14.8, so I'm sure that there was more time in it for him. But getting into the feature race results, as you can see, we started on pole and we ended up 52 seconds behind the leader, and the reason for that is because I thought in my genius that it was a good idea to underfuel by about 3/4 of a lap. And in the rain, it's surprisingly very difficult to save fuel. So I ended up, after about 5 or so laps, actually being even more negative on fuel, almost a lap down on fuel. And so for the entire rest of the race, I had to spend time saving fuel into every single corner, lifting in every single corner, lifting off like 500 meters early on the main straight. It was terrible. It was probably one of the least enjoyable experiences that I've ever had. It was a big mistake for me. It was really stupid. What was interesting though is that because it was heavy rain, we were able to go the entire race without having to make a pit stop. So we did the entire race on one set of inters. But yeah, it was just a terrible race. Ollie ends up finishing ahead of us, and so he actually gets a 2-point swing in the Drivers' Championship. So we go look over here at the driver's standings. I am still leading by, 23 points, so almost a full race win. But he did make a good little hit into that total. And then as far as the constructor standings go, obviously our teammate won the race and we got 4th, and then we finished 1-2 in the sprint race. And so not much Ollie or McLaren could do there. So we've extended our lead to almost 100 points. So after this race, we decided to go to the new F1 cars, the new DLC cars. So qualifying in Brazil will be on the new cars. And I've actually been putting in quite a bit of time to practice these new cars. So let's see if that practice pays off as we jump into qualifying. Here we are on board for our very first qualifying run in the F126 cars at Formula Fan Championship. As you can see, just kind of backing up a little bit. We got our teammate in front of us, so leaving a little bit of a margin, especially with the lagging car in front, if you can see on the track map. So here we go out of the final corner. Wait to deploy the battery for quite a while. It's better to save it, so we wait until we get into 7th gear. We turn the battery on, go up into 8th gear, cross the start finish line, and for first corner we actually don't lift and coast hardly at all. And the reason for that is because we save so much battery on the start finish straight that we can afford to actually push quite hard into that first corner. and we don't lose hardly any time. Now for the turn here, big lift through there, you know, about a 200, basically lifting at about 200 meters, deploy all the way down to 15% going through this middle part of the lap. It's very hard to deploy, so it's very good to try and save as much as possible. You end up saving a lot as the Haas in front of us kind of gets in the way a little bit, not exactly allowing us to run the full width of the track. But coming up to the final corner, we are not going to lift at all and just send everything up to the line. Thankfully, Brazil is one of those tracks on these new regulations where you don't exactly have to save too much battery in order to set a good lap time. We do get it almost perfect, and we set a 108.983. I believe my PB in practice, I just check really quickly. My PB in practice was a 108.757.
A tenth or so from having to take a tighter line.
And you can just hear me talking about how, yeah, I got impeded a little bit, but I know that there is a 2/10 improvement here, so let's see if we can't find it. Here we are on board for our second run in qualifying. Our teammate going second fastest. We ended up invalidating our first lap here, so we just decided to go again. Thankfully, there's enough fuel in these cars to just make that decision to go again if you end up making a mistake. So let's see if we can improve. Holding a very tight line through turn 1. Try and keep it tight on turn 2 as well, or I guess that is turn 3. But deploying down to 8th, deploying into 8th gear, lifting at around 175 meters. Get back on the power early, and then just deploy as much battery as possible. As you can see, we're actually a 10th down at the moment, which is not great, but we do have a little bit more battery going into this middle part of the lap, so maybe there is some time that we left on the table with that. Being very aggressive, kind of throwing the car in through here, trying to be as early on the traction as possible. These new cars being very helpful on the traction, as when you're in none, you don't have as much horsepower, and so it's much easier to get the car going. As you can see, we gain a lot of time right there, but you'll see a little bit here as we go to the line that we actually come out of the last corner with not enough battery to make it to the line. As we get a nice little tow, a little bit of a slipstream from Ghost RNG, which is good enough to do a 108.822, but unfortunately only a 1.5 improvement, which does almost match our personal best in practice. So you know, nothing to be upset about, but with David and Jeffy and Ollie only a couple of tenths to just a 10th behind, we are going to need an improvement on our final lap. So here we are on board to start our final flying lap in qualifying.
I'm gonna do another one if this one's bad.
And you hear me saying, oh yeah, I'll do another lap if this one isn't good. If I decided to abort in that situation. You can see we're already actually a 10th up, which is pretty good.
Yeah, whatever then.
We actually have a very good run down to the 4th corner here, but I believe that we just did not get the battery exactly right. As you'll see coming up into this corner, we're down to 10%, so using a little bit too much battery here, but we get a great run through there, which gives us a 2/10 improvement. A little bit of understeer on the corner there, but we end up not losing very much time there, so we're still up 2/10. But going into this corner, we don't exactly have a whole lot of battery, so we're going to lose a lot of time right here just from the fact that on our last lap we were able to deploy a lot, but on this lap we're not able to, so we're actually only half a 10th up going into this last real corner on the track. And so now for the run to the line, we're only half a 10th up. Can we even improve? We're going to run out of battery again, and this time we don't have the slipstream, so our top speed is actually slower, so we don't end up improving. And you can hear that I'm just really mad about that. And you can hear me saying that, yeah, I'm probably going to lose pole off of that.
So annoying.
because the guys behind were very, very, very close. And so, you know, it's just unfortunate. But you know, what can you do, right? Let's see. Our teammate is in the middle part of his lap. Let's see what he can do. I believe he is going to set a pretty good lap here. But let's see. He's coming out of the final corner now. Running up to the line, deploying everything that he has left in the battery. Let's see what he can do. He's very, very close to us. So let's see what he can do. And he ends up going faster by a couple hundredths.
I'm gonna go down
and
third. Fuck, dude.
And you can just hear me very, very upset, thinking that David, you know, was going to improve behind me. I think it was a bit of an overreaction, honestly.
Fucking God, dude.
I did not need to
quali. I was on
cry
a
about
2/10 improvement and I bottled all of it.
I did not need to cry as much as I was crying here, so
fucking idiot, dude.
I was not very happy. But let's see if we can lock in a little bit and get it figured out for the race. We're going to be starting 1-2 with our teammate, so there's no reason to get into a big tizzy over it. So let's see if we can have a much better race.
You went off the track.
Just before we get into the race, here are the qualifying results. As you can see, Jeffy taking pole with a 108.804, a very, very good lap from him. We come in at second, only 1/100th behind him. David comes in about a 10th back, Ollie 3/10ths back, and then from there it's just kind of cascading down the order. So we'll see what we can do in the race. Here we are on board for the formation lap. You'll see in a moment why we're on board, but just to go down the order here, you can see Jeffy, myself, Ollie, and Dom are all on mediums, and David behind is on the alt strat. Maybe he is expecting, I guess, there to not be a safety car for a while, so he's planning on extending his stint. So
we'll do it when it's convenient. Yeah.
We're just talking team strategy here.
Second to them, and we're like chilling on our own.
But you can see Jeffy brakes super early, and I wasn't ready for it, and we collide with our teammate. Very stupid from me. So yeah, just a very stupid stupid thing from me. But nothing race ending, nothing terrible. So I just thought I'd throw this in there because it was silly.
All right, here we go. A race no Brasil. Off we go. Week 6 at Brazil. Interlagos track. Can we keep it clean? Into turn 1. Oh, we're seeing some chipper battling already between the two Aston Martins. Looks to have been some kind of bumping and a lot going on back here, I think. We're fine. Seems like a Haas has been kind of run off. We're going to see a lot of moves here. It might even be better to sit in POV and just kind of watch as people change. Ooh, a bit of an unsafe rejoin maybe from that Ferrari. Here goes Earth Harbor all the way up into 4th already. Jeffy over a second behind of Psychotical immediately. But, ooh, late maneuver from Earth Harbor. We are seeing some aggressive movement already. I wonder how these guys are going to be able to handle the speed differential in some corners, as some people decide to use battery, some people decide to coast, some people decide to, I don't know, sit in none. Yoshi ahead of Grand Alpaca. Grand Alpaca in 12th. I wonder what happened to him at the start of the race.
All right, so here we are now for the race start. The Mercedes behind coming up to the grid now. We're going to be starting pretty far back in our grid box, so the McLaren behind on the hard tire actually may have a chance of getting past us here. So let's see if we can get a good start. The 5 red lights come on for our first race on the new regulations. Can we get a good run off the line? We get tons upon tons of wheel spin as we use the overtake mode, or the boost mode, I should say, straight off the line. The McLaren coming onto the inside as Jeffy gets spun around despite all of the ghosting. I thought that this was originally on the
No, that
McLaren
wasn't me.
as he was on the outside and ended up going inside of Jeffy. But
It wasn't.
upon
I'm telling you, it was
review
the
at the end of the
recording.
race, we actually saw that on my screen, Jeffy had ghosted, but on his screen, I hadn't ghosted and he hadn't ghosted. And so while I don't necessarily think that the incident was my fault, as you can see from the clip, he's ghosted. So I don't feel like I needed to back out of that.
That's how we
It did end up messing up our teammate a little bit, so gotta try and avoid doing that in the future. I think that part of that was the cold tires from messing up the formation lap, but you can see on the first lap alone, we've already broken a 1.6 second gap to our teammate and to the rest of the field. So a great first lap from us. Just going to try now to run away as much as possible and build as big of a gap as we possibly can, so that way we are not under threat. And so the next couple laps kind of go that way.
Yoshi with a better line, it seems like. Has a lot of battery saved up. That Sector 2 just really lets you build up a lot of battery. Oh, and Ghost RNG has spun on exit. Back on track. Now in 14th. Unfortunate for Ghost RNG. Leo, 3-second time penalty. Yoshi ahead of Earth Harbor now. We have a safety car for what? For the Red Bull? He was back on track.
Here we are on board for lap 6, going into turn 1, hugging the inside line there, getting a pretty decent run out of there, cutting the right side of turn 2, deploying battery down the straight here. But you can see behind that a Red Bull has spun and a safety car has come out, and you can hear me not super happy about this, because if you could see before the safety car came out, we were building a pretty large margin to our teammate, and now all of that is going to be erased. But we are going to get a cheap pit stop off of this onto hards, so we will pit this lap and throw on the new hard compound tires. Here we are at the end of lap 6. Talking with our, just trying to help our teammate with tire selection. Because taking it very easy into the pit lane.
Just take your medium now.
There was rain predicted to come down at the end of the race, possibly. Maybe the last like 2 laps.
I only have hards.
So we're kind of thinking about, with the hards here, we went harder, so we don't have the option to go into mediums, and thankfully this actually does end up helping us quite a bit, as this will be the only pit stop that we make today, surprisingly. But we come back out, we're racing Leo on pit exit a little bit here, but nobody can deploy battery, so we have the tighter line, we get the straight mode turned on, and we take the position, and we stay in the net P4, which will be very helpful, because we have Leo and Stormy behind us, both staying out under the safety car, and they will be a nice little buffer to the rest of the front runners behind, so we'll have a chance of getting past. We do have a chance of getting ahead on the safety car restart, and if we can get through this traffic ahead of us very, very quickly, then we'll have a massive buffer. We'll have 5-car buffer behind to the rest of the front runners, which will be very helpful for us to try and run away. Here we are on board for the safety car restart. Me a bit confused by it wasn't coming in, but apparently it comes in right there. I guess the last part of the lap is quite long, so that is fair. We get it nice and slowed down before the start finish straight. Yoshi leading the restart. I don't know why I was so concerned about him leading the restart. I think that was a bit silly from me, so sorry Yoshi, I don't know why I doubted your ability to do a clean safety car restart. Safety car restart comes and we deploy across the line, boost mode getting re-enabled. We lift for turn 1, and we actually have to check up as Leo goes super deep on the inside there. Thankfully we move out of the way, so he did not cause us any damage. However, that does give us a little bit of a gap to the cars ahead, who are going to start battling with each other. But we have a 9-lap advantage as far as tires are concerned, and so this should be a pretty much slam dunk pass.
Fucking held up.
But you can hear me not super happy. B Starkey kind of putting his Audi in the middle of the road to kind of hold me back a little bit. That and you can just see the jittering that's going on. It's a bit concerning for me as our teammate and David behind actually come together and spin. So you can hear me saying, oh, whose fault is it? In hindsight, probably should have just kept running the race and stopped worrying about the incidents. But
yeah, just
coming out of the final corner here, we're going to finally get to see overtake in action in a race. And so let's see if that can help us get past B Starkey here on this lap. We're just going to play it a little bit conservative here. You can see him pulling away, both of them pulling away, using a bit more battery. What I found in F126 is that the best strategy is, just like F125, to put your opponent under pressure and force them to use their battery while you save behind, and then eventually you'll just have a catastrophic battery advantage, and then you can pass basically for free. So let's see if we can't get that pulled off correctly here. We do have a pretty decent run on Kuya here, but he's recharging and he's jittering a little bit too much, and it's kind of a tight area to pass, and so we think better of it. I think that was the right decision. I think if they hadn't been lagging as much, I would have decided to go for a move. You can see me deploying a little bit of battery, seeing if maybe there's a chance for me to get back, but there isn't, and we're actually at 100% battery now, so we're actually losing out on recharge and deployment by being at that 100% battery threshold. But into the final corner here, we actually get a fantastic run compared to Kuya, and so now we're alongside with significantly more batteries. You can see we've almost used up our full recharge for the entire lap, so we can just deploy as much as we want down this entire straight. We deploy a little bit in 8th gear, which is not as optimal, but in this situation it's okay because we're just trying to get an overtake done, and we're gonna have overtake mode on the next lap to recharge a ton of battery, so we get the move done. And now we're up back into P3, obviously a net P1, but just trying to get past these slower cars in front. As we said, a purple first sector. These hard tires really kind of coming to life here. We do have a bit of a run on B Starkey here, but he kind of, I wasn't very happy about this. I had the overspeed and I was poking my nose in, and he just kind of covered me off. Wasn't a big fan of this move, but again, there's no need to be in a big rush. We have a huge tire advantage. All of our rivals are super far behind us, so there's nothing to worry about here. We don't need to be in a rush and get any sort of damage or anything like that. We need to run our race here and get past these guys when it's convenient. So going into the final corner here, we lift a little bit to get some battery back, and on the run out of the final corner, you can see I have a pretty good run on Yoshi, who is likely out of battery, and B Starkey ahead, who
with a better run. Oh, he is massively gaining on these guys, taking the very inside, cutting all the way back. Oh, there's been a murder! There has been an absolute murder behind of Psychotical.
But behind Yoshi and B Starkey coming together on the straightaway, B Starkey just kind of drifting over a little bit into Yoshi on accident and causing another safety car. And so because we pit under the last safety car, we really only got a couple laps of racing on these hard compound tires. There's no reason to come into the pit lane. We only have 11% on our worst tire.
I think at this point,
the best strategy in this situation is just going to be to stay out, especially with the fact that another safety car, with every single safety car that comes out,
I think I'm gonna stay out.
Every single safety car. Okay, I'm about to. All right, we're gonna mute myself because we're a little bit too much of a yapper in this race. But the reason why we want to stay out is because there was rain projected to come at the end of the race, and every single lap or every single time that there's a safety car that comes out, there's going to be a more and more high likelihood of there being rain. And so I just experienced some pretty bad traffic trying to overtake to get back into the lead. And so I'm thinking to myself here, okay, if I decide to pit now, I'm going to be behind a lot of people because a lot of people are going to stay out under the safety car. And I want to keep the track position because even though I'm going to have slightly worse tires than the people who might pit, not only is everybody going to have to make another pit stop, likely at some point with the rain coming, but we keep the important track position and we aren't going to get held up after this, later on in the race after the safety car restart. So we decide to stay out. Kuya pits and Dom and Earth Harbor get unleashed to close up to the back of us. Our teammate Jeffy making it back up to 4th place. Those medium tires working out quite well for him. So let's fast forward to the safety car restart and see what happens. Here we are on board for the safety car restart. As you can see, my front left tire not very warm, so a bit concerning, but everybody else behind on the hard is going to be struggling as well as we slow down to back up the field a little bit here. Still weaving to try and maintain as much tire temperature as possible. As you can see, it's just going to start falling away from us. We set the car into hot lap, as you cannot use boost on safety car restarts, and so the best deployment strategy is actually to set the car into hot lap, as that's the highest battery deployment mode you can get. And as you can see, going to the line, we get 20-30% battery deployment, which is very helpful, and then we're actually just able to go into turn 1. We go a little bit deep. The cold tires kind of not getting us as much grip as we would have liked. We could have definitely taken it a little bit more conservatively going through there, but running down into turn 4, we give it a lift, and another safety car comes out. We didn't even get 2 corners. Our teammate Jeffy behind on his mediums spinning and bringing out another safety car. And so this is already the 3rd safety car that has come out, and so at this point I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated because I feel like my race pace is much better than the rest of the field, and with every single safety car that comes out, that just plays into everybody else's hands, as I just have no chance of pulling away and creating a massive gap and just being completely safe from the rest of the field. And so very frustrating. We're going to stay out again with this safety car coming out. It's basically guaranteed that the rain is going to come well before the end of the race. So I just didn't see any reason to pit and lose track position. Once again, just a little bit terrified of the traffic that I had to deal with under that first safety car restart. So we end up staying out. Here we are on board again for another safety car restart on lap 17 out of 36. So just about halfway through the race here. Just trying to get the tires warmed up once again in hot lap mode. We only ended up getting 8% tire wear in between the last couple of laps and whatnot. And now you can see we started at -2 laps of fuel, but now we're positive 0.45 just from how much lifting and coasting you do with these cars. You can actually afford to underfuel quite a bit. And then with safety cars, if you expect there to be safety cars, you can actually go super negative on fuel, almost down to minimum at some tracks. So we get a good restart, getting a better line through the first corner on the cold tires with Dom behind, lifting off for turn 4 to get some battery back going into the second sector. We just deploy as much battery as we please going through here, turn it off before the corner to help with traction. Going up into the middle part of the lap, we just drop it down into second gear, try and get as much traction. Throw it into the left-hander early on the power to maximize our average speed through the corner. Come up here, a little bit of a lift to try and recharge some of the battery. We're at 95%, so we are going to have to deploy a little bit here. You do have to be careful going through that left-hander on the battery, as sometimes you can lose traction if the tires are worn or the conditions are not good.
My goal right now is to build the biggest gap humanly possible before the rain comes.
And you can see me describing exactly what I was going to say perfectly. Yeah, we want to build as big of a gap as possible. And we're in great shape here, as we've already broken, I was going to say DRS, but we've already broken a 1 second gap, an overtake gap to Dom as he picks up a 3 second penalty. So, and Earth Harbor picking up a 3 second penalty. So we're in great shape. Our championship rival is behind Dom. He is going to have to fight with Dom in order to get past him. And so during that time, if we can build as big of a gap as possible, we're going to be in great shape. So here we are a couple of laps later. going into the second sector, lap 22. As you can see, the gap is almost increased to 3 seconds as we go into the middle part of the lap. Lifting off for the right-hander here. As you can see behind, a car has gone into the barriers. The Ferrari, or an Audi, I believe, of B Starkey, maybe, or Kuya, I'm not sure. You can hear me absolutely fuming about the amount of safety cars here. Our race pace just absolutely getting thrown in the bin, just completely in the mud. Just a bit of a overreaction, but
500 safety cars.
Very upset about the racing standards as we choose to stay out again, as again the rain is coming very, very soon and we do not want to pit into traffic. But let's see what people do behind. Dom or Ollie going into pit, David going into pit, Jeffy staying out to get that track position, Dom staying out to keep track position, the Mercedes choosing to come into the pit lane, the Ferrari, Haas, Mercedes, and not the Red Bull, but Red Bull choosing to stay out, and the Williams at the very, very back also choosing to come in. So a wild mix of strategies here, but thankfully, because Dom has that 3-second penalty and we have our teammate and Earth Harbor and Ghost RNG behind, we are going to have quite a bit of a buffer for these fresh tire runners behind us who are going to come and try and challenge for the lead. And so we should be able to once again extend until the rain and keep the track position. And you can just hear me crashing out. This is just
this is ridiculous.
I'm gonna mute myself because yeah, I was not very happy with the driving standards this race. You know, it is kind of frustrating that we cannot seem to go a single race or multiple races without having at least 2 or 3 safety cars in a race. The last, I don't know, let's see here, the last, I don't know, half of the race, it almost felt like we were under safety car. And so it was very frustrating to have this happen, because again, now the tires are going to be cold and we have to warm them up again. And so I just wasn't very happy with this. I think I do a better job of not crashing out as much. I think it was a bit ridiculous, but let's fast forward to the safety car restart and see what we can do. All right, here is the 3rd safety car restart this race. Our tires are bone cold. Nothing that you can really do about it. So just trying to weave to keep as much tire temperature as possible. Counting down for our teammate to give him the best jump off the line as possible, as he gets a fantastic run on Dom behind, almost passed before the first corner. Let's see if he can make a late move to the inside. Not quite on this occasion, unfortunately, but their battling is already made a 8th, 10th gap for us. As you can see, David getting up into P5, but with a 6-second time penalty. So not really under too much threat from him unless he somehow comes flying past us at 600,000 miles an hour, which is unlikely to happen. So you can hear our race engineer telling us 5 minutes until the rain. So the rain is going to come before the end of the race. We're going to see it within the next 5 minutes. So a lap here being a 1:10 or so. In the next 5 laps, we're going to be on next 5 laps is going to be rain. So we're going to have, you know, god damn it, 6 or 7, yeah, 6 or 7, haha, 6 or 7 laps to the end where it might be raining. And so we'll see if it's going to be what kind of rain. It might be light rain, but if it's heavy, we may end up having to pit. If it's a light rain, we may actually be able to stay out until
the end, depending on when it starts falling,
until the rain starts coming. So as we build a 1.5 second gap as well to Dom behind. So we will keep running like this, and we'll see when the rain starts to come down. All right, so this is lap 30 going into lap 31 of 36. Jeffy hanging around a little bit on the fresher hard tires. Ollie and David managing to get past Dom, and so now we're kind of in a pretty rough position here. We kind of need our teammate to put the brakes on, as our race engineer tells us that rain could be falling at any time now. So we are going to be on the lookout for rain. Only 5 laps to go after this one in the race. As you can see on my screen, the rain has started to come down on the racetrack. So what kind of conditions are we going to see in a couple laps? Me telling my teammate, hey, I'll let you know if it's time for inters or not. And so, you know, with us being so close to each other, this is kind of a difficult situation. If it ends up going to inter conditions, when are we going to pit? And if we do pit, is one of us going to get screwed over by the other one having to double stack, right? So Jeffy having to double stack, or is it worth it to maybe risk it and have somebody come in 1 lap earlier or come in 1 lap late? And so these are kind of the things that we're having to think about here as the rain starts to fall and the conditions deteriorate as the race ends. But
Be careful.
you know, me warning my teammate just to be careful as the conditions get worse and worse and worse. The rain doesn't seem too bad for now, but let's see what the conditions look like after a couple of laps. Here we are going into lap 34 off of lap 33. Not quite time for inters yet. As you can see, the track is still very, very dry.
It's still not inters.
The rain very, very light here, and so with only, you know, a couple laps to go here, at this point we are not going to come into the pit lane again. We're not going to pit for inters. We're going to stay out on the hard tires. As you can see, the tire warning light coming on, so us passing the 60% threshold. So these hards are already dead, and the track is getting worse and worse and worse. So this is going to be a very, very tricky situation for us. We really cannot afford to make any mistakes, and so we just have to drive absolutely perfectly for the next 3 laps, not making any mistakes. Thankfully, though, these medium runners behind have been on these tires for long enough now that they are starting to fall off as well. So really, our teammate has the best tires on the track right now, and so he should be able to keep that P2 with no issue whatsoever. So let's see if he can do that.
It is going to be your race winner in the new regs, first race of the season with the 26 cars. Race winner is Psychotical. Second is Biffy the Dragon. David will be finishing 3rd.
So coming out of the final corner here, you can see that we did manage to keep first place.
Sketchy fucking race.
Our teammate staying in P2 and David getting past Ollie, and Ollie having a bit of a moment in the closing stages of that race. So he gets knocked down to P4, but because of the penalties, he inherits P3. Right. So a 1-2 team, 1-2 finish for the team. Very, very happy about that. Nothing to complain about there. These safety cars were kind of frustrating, as Leo has a fantastic race getting P5. Very good to see him having a great race. But yeah, we're very, very happy with that. Let's just go ahead and skip ahead to the race results screen. So you can see the race results. We finish at P1 behind Jeffy, Ollie, and David, getting a 3-4. Leo, Grand Alpaca, and Earth Harbor down in 5th, 6th, and 7th. High Power, Stormy, and Dom rounding out the top 10. Yoshi, Ghost, and Kuya finishing out of the points, and Beastarky and some others DNFing. Very, very good race for us. And so let's look at the standings after round 6 at Brazil. Here's a look at the driver standings after Brazil. As you can see, we have built over a race win to Ollie. So my 152 versus his 119. So a 33-point gap. So we can afford to have an absolute stinker of a weekend or miss a weekend, which I may end up having to do at some point. I am going to be moving in late July, early August. So we may end up having to miss a race. Hopefully we can build a bigger gap, so that way the gap is not going to be just 8 points by the time that I have to do that. Our teammate Jeffy is in in third place in the Drivers' Championship. Beastarky in 4th. Dom, David, High Power, Earth, Bosch, and Shadows rounding out the top 10. Let's jump over to the constructor standings. We finish in P1 and P2 in the feature race, so a big swing in the constructors for us. We are at 234 points, McLaren at 41, so we are 93 points ahead of our nearest rivals. So our constructors championship looking pretty good right now. Even if we were to both DNF and the McLaren were to finish in 1 and 2, they would still have to do that multiple times in order to catch back up. So we are actually in fantastic shape at the, I believe, quarter way through the season. Let's look at the calendar here. Let's pull it up. At a little over a third of the way through the season, I believe. Just about a third of the way through the season at Brazil. As you can see, the Qatar, Azerbaijan, and Imola sprints back to back to back, kind of crazy. But next week we do have Japan, so we'll have to see if we can get a similar result. I did put in quite a bit of time on these new cars, and so I feel like a lot of my pace did come from that. So there's no guarantees that, you know, these guys around us who are very, very close to us in qualifying do not put in some race practice and actually get caught back up to us. You can see going down the calendar a little bit, Las Vegas, Australia are going to be a bit difficult on the battery with the very, very long straights. Hungary, very, very good track for the battery. You could basically just go push flat out without having to worry about lifting and coasting very much. Bahrain, one of my best tracks. You'll see in my next video for PTRL round 1 at Bahrain. We had a great race. It's gonna be a sprint weekend, so it plays even more into our favor. Round 12 is Monaco. And then we have Miami, which will be another great track for the battery. You basically regenerate all of your battery through sector 3. And so you can, or I guess the middle, the very, very tight kind of Mickey Mouse part of the lap, you will keep your battery, you'll top up your battery. So you can just use a lot of battery there. And all the lifting in the S's in the first part of the lap also will help you with battery generation. Mexico, not exactly sure how the battery will be, but for Jeddah, I know that the battery is absolutely atrocious to try and keep topped up. So that'll be a tough race. And then to round out the season, we have Abu Dhabi, which is a pretty standard fair track. There's some big braking zones, lots of places to regenerate the battery, some places where you will be able to lift and coast to get it charged back up. But next week we'll be in Japan, so I will see you guys then. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. I won't do a yap session like last time, but yeah, thank you guys.